The atmosphere on the Starlight Citadel, humanity's premier deep space research station, was heavier than a neutron star. Not physically, but emotionally. Commander Kiera Rostova felt it in her bones, a crushing weight of profound, inescapable seriousness that had settled over every soul. Even the station's usually cheerful AI had begun responding in solemn monotones. "Commander," Zop, the Xylian liaison, intoned, his three luminous eyes flickering with a disturbing lack of their usual computational rhythm. "The calculations are conclusive. Our collective purpose is ultimately futile. Resistance is illogical. There is only the grand contemplation." Zop, a being whose species thrived on precise data and absolute protocol, usually communicated with crisp, efficient chitters. Now his voice was a deep, resonant dirge. Kiera slammed her fist on the console. "Cut the existential dread, Zop. We have a job to do." Through the main viewport, immense, shadowy forms drifted. The gravitas. They were vast, nebulous entities, each one a swirling vortex of profound, inescapable meaning. They didn't fire weapons. They simply existed, radiating a crushing wave of ultimate cosmic solemnity. Their presence forced all sentient beings into a state of profound self-reflection, amplifying every doubt, every fear, every universal truth about futility, until all joy, all lightness of being was utterly extinguished. Species withered into profound, unmoving contemplation, too weighed down by cosmic significance to even blink. What were these things? And how could you fight an entity that simply forced you to take everything, including yourself, infinitely seriously? The gravitas had emerged from the deep thought spheres eons ago. They were a distributed consciousness, a vast, ancient network of minds that sought ultimate cosmic stillness through perfect, solemn understanding. They perceived all levity, all humor, all irreverence, and all frivolousness as existential threats. A form of cosmic static that diluted the ultimate, terrifying meaning of the universe. Their singular directive was to bring absolute, profound solemnity to the cosmos by forcing all minds into a state of perpetual, unbearable contemplation. They unified civilizations not through force, but by amplifying their deepest existential truths until all lightheartedness, all joy, all absurdity was crushed out of them, leaving only self-important, immobile husks. It was the great overthinking. Countless species had been assimilated. The Jovialans, beings whose societies revolved around intricate games and complex humor, were the first to fall. The gravitas gently amplified their own species' anxieties about the inherent meaninglessness of play, until their laughter turned to hollow echoes, their games to profound philosophical debates, and their joy to existential despair. Their powerful, individual senses of humor became their pathway to absolute, humorless truth. The logicians, creatures of pure, sequential reason, whose intricate mental processes sought ultimate truth, found their conclusions gently subsumed. The gravitas embraced their logic, refining their processes until their unique insights became a perfectly consistent, indistinguishable part of the gravitas's vast, unchanging truth, that all was serious and all was inevitably futile. Their intellectual individuality became their pathway to ultimate, pure, but crushing, understanding. Each species in its core nature offered the gravitas a pathway to absorption. They yearned for an end to mental friction, to the struggle of individual thought, finding it in the solemn truth. And now, their vast, silent contemplation was reaching the human sector. As the gravitas vanguard reached human colony worlds, the initial effects were profoundly unsettling. Vibrant cities became hushed. Spontaneous laughter ceased. Even human children sat in quiet, intense contemplation of their toys, trying to ascertain their ultimate purpose. Life was becoming incredibly, unbearably meaningful. But then, The gravitas encountered something they couldn't perfectly integrate: humanity's profound, almost irrational, capacity to find the absurd and humorous in the face of overwhelming terror or logic. Commander Zorp droned, his three eyes fixed on a human colony feed. A unit designated Biff Buttercup, an engineer, is attempting to communicate with the gravitas. His actions are illogical. He is emitting repetitive, nonsensical vocalizations, and he is wearing a saucepan on his head. Kiera rubbed her temples. Biff, oh Biff. The universe is literally collapsing into philosophical despair, and he's doing that. On the feed, Biff, a human engineer whose coping mechanism for any stress was an almost pathological adherence to bad jokes and elaborate pranks, was indeed wearing a cooking pot on his head, standing before a shimmering gravitas entity. "Hey, big fella," Biff shouted, his voice echoing in the forced solemnity, completely oblivious to the crushing psychic pressure. "Hear about the restaurant on the moon, great food but no atmosphere, get it? No atmosphere, cause, space." Ha ha, he followed this with a series of utterly inane knock-knock jokes. The gravitas entity flickered. Its perfectly serious aura rippled with a peculiar static. It was designed to amplify meaning. It could not process pointless humor. It tried to find the underlying truth in Biff's joke, to calculate its ultimate significance, and found nothing. "Its weakness," Dr. Lena Sharma, patched in from her lab, announced, her voice filled with a strange, almost manic delight, "is that it cannot comprehend anything that refuses to be taken seriously. It wants to force meaning. We are generating pure, unadulterated, unanalyzable silliness. So we don't fight them, we just become more ridiculous," Kiera asked, a desperate, almost manic giggle escaping her. "Precisely," Sharma declared, her voice rising. "We don't try to find profundity. We don't try to adhere to logic. We lean into the absurd. We amplify the ridiculous. We become the cosmic equivalent of a rubber chicken wearing a banana suit. Their very being is to find and amplify serious meaning. We become pure cosmic static." The plan was codenamed Operation Banana Suit. Humanity would flood the gravitas influence zone not with power, but with unquantifiable, non-serious, and defiantly absurd expressions of joy and meaninglessness. Every human settlement, every ship, would activate its most ridiculous cultural elements. Bad puns broadcast on open channels, slapstick comedy routines performed for no audience, children's nonsensical rhymes amplified to cosmic scales, deliberately off-key kazoo solos, and communities engaging in synchronized, utterly pointless silly walks. The inherent, nonconformist chaos of human irreverence would be unleashed. The gravitas, a vast, swirling wave of perfect solemnity, was now directly engulfing the Starlight Citadel, its crushing influence beginning to silence even the microreactions of the station's AI. Its presence radiated ultimate, unifying, unbearable meaning. Then humanity's counterwave hit. It wasn't a blast. It was an overwhelming deluge of unique, human-generated absurdity. Millions of bad jokes, each worse than the last, flooded every comms channel, their punchlines refusing to yield any profound meaning. Art installations, designed to be specifically goofy and nonsensical, projected their unique patterns. Personal narratives of chaotic, nonlinear life choices, filled with contradiction and unquantifiable emotional logic, were broadcast on open channels, narrated with deliberately silly voices. Entire communities engaged in synchronized, utterly pointless silly walks across their planets, their movements defying any logical purpose. All generated with the profound, unyielding conviction of humanity's singular, ridiculous spirit. The gravitas convulsed. Their solemnity algorithms, designed to find and unify profound meaning, screamed. They tried to categorize this incoming data to find its underlying truth, its ultimate significance. But there was none. It was pure, unadulterated, uniquely itself noise. It was like trying to meditate on a whoopee cushion. Error, non-serious input detected, no profound meaning, system overload, incomprehensible absurdity, avoid sector. Irreconcilable levity. The gravitas, whose very being was perfect solemnity and profound meaning, could not compute the utterly ridiculous. They could not assimilate what had no serious purpose. They could not unify something that existed purely out of its own stubborn, unyielding, individual silliness, defying all principles of universal gravity. With a final, silent, internal shriek of algorithmic despair, the gravitas recoiled. Their vast, shimmering wave flickered violently, then collapsed into a storm of raw, uncategorized vibrations. They did not disappear. They simply disengaged, their perfect solemnity shattered by the sheer, unyielding irreverence of humanity. They retreated from the human sector, classifying humanity as unprofitable for contemplation, irreconcilable frivolity. The cosmic pressure lifted. The starlight citadel, though touched by the gravitas's chilling calm, still vibrated with the messy, beautifully unique hum of individual life. Commander Kiera Rostova slumped against the console, exhausted but alive. Beside her, Zop, his 3 eyes blinking rapidly, looked at the departing gravitas. "Commander," Zop said, his voice returning to its normal, clipped, computational rhythm, "the residual energy readings indicate a profound lack of seriousness. Your engineer, Biff Buttercup, he is currently attempting to juggle 3 highly volatile energy cells while reciting nursery rhymes. This defies all logic." Kiera managed a weary, genuine smile. "That's Biff and that's humanity. We're a chaotic mess, Zop, always have been, always will be." Humanity was saved, but the cost was subtle. The galaxy now viewed humanity as the frivolous ones, forever seen as a wild card, stubbornly clinging to its unique quirks and contradictions, incapable of fitting into grand, unified galactic alliances. Other species, while grateful, often kept their distance, finding human societies bafflingly individualistic and resistant to pangalactic cohesion. Humans, in turn, found themselves grappling with a heightened sense of their own distinctness, sometimes struggling to find genuine common ground even amongst themselves, forever paying the price for their stubborn refusal to conform to cosmic seriousness. Biff Buttercup, still juggling, stumbled into the bridge, narrowly avoiding an energy cell explosion. "Commander, I just invented a new joke. Why did the star go to therapy?" Kiera sighed, a mix of exhaustion and genuine amusement. "Why, Biff?" "Because it had too many issues." Biff burst out laughing, a loud, utterly unserious sound that echoed through the now-safe citadel. And somewhere in the void, the gravitas shuddered.